Hey Dorian, sooner or later Brian and I had to bring this up. You tweeted out on a couple of days ago that you were going to pull no punches on the show, and we're not sensationalist people. We're not gonna try and trick you, but we really would like an honest account of steroid use in bodybuilding.
No problem, man.
Can you tell us about it? Can you tell us what you use? Can you tell us what the guys are using nowadays? I mean, is there anything you'd like to start with?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think the first Mr. Olympia was 1965, I believe. Okay. Larry Scott won the first Mr. Olympia in 1965. And Larry Scott's on record saying that he used steroids for that. So steroids have been used in bodybuilding and other sports since the early 60s. One of the earliest steroids available is Dynabol, and this was actually produced for the US athletes, because the Eastern Bloc had their equivalent. They had their equivalent. So the US developed this, and that's pretty much how it got developed. And what are steroids, first of all, and how do they work? Steroids are derivatives of testosterone, which is a male hormone. Gives you your male characteristics, but it also has ability to build and repair tissue. So they used to give it to people, for instance, in hospital situations if they got burns and so on, because the tissue is damaged and it needs help to repair more quickly. So that's what bodybuilders use steroids for. Athletes, any athletes where increased speed and strength is required, trust me, they are using them. Yeah, just that bodybuilders is maybe more of a minor sport. We don't have major sponsors that we need to keep happy and all that kind of stuff, so we can be more open about it and just say, oh yeah, we use them. But trust me, they're used in other sports, maybe not as much in some sports, but they're used in you got people that are in a competitive sport, you've got competitive people, and they're going to do whatever is required to perform the best in their sport. So steroids are a derivative of testosterone, a male hormone. So what the scientists tried to do is minimize the masculine effects and maximize the anabolic or the repair building effects of testosterone. That's what steroids are, basically. And they've been used in bodybuilding, they've been used in track and field and American football and baseball and whatever, all these sports. They've been used since the mid-60s, early 60s. So there's nothing new under the sun here. You're able to train harder and recover more quickly. I think your body gets to a point with training where to increase the response, you've got to increase the training and make it more stressful. It gets to a point where your body just kind of plateaus because it can't recover from this stress anymore. So it just plateaus because it's your body's intelligent, right? If I keep responding, this guy keeps putting stress on me, and it's going to be never ending. So at some point, it's going to find a balance, and just you're not going to respond anymore. And that's where steroids work. They can get you over that barrier because your body, you're increasing your body's ability to recover from the stress. So a lot of people look at bodybuilders and look at these guys, they just take steroids because we look so different. Huge muscle mass, veins, and no body fat for competition. We don't look that all the time. That's a competition look. But because we look so different, it's obvious. You can point a finger and say, look at this guy, he takes steroids. Well, a little skinny 10-stone guy that zips around mountains all day long in a Tour de France, he looks like a normal dude walking down the street. But trust me, those guys are used as much pharmaceuticals as any other sport, So they're used in all sports, pretty much. It's just the degrees.
Well, I'm really interested in both the positive and the negative effects, like when you were in hard competition training and you were doing cycles of Deca or Dynabol, whatever it was you were using. I know you were one of the, it's my understanding, I don't know if it's true, I'd like your answer, you were one of the first bodybuilders to experiment with growth hormone and...
Well, I don't think so. I used growth hormone in the early 90s and it had been used before that.
Okay.
I don't really think so. Growth hormone is another thing. Growth hormone can increase muscle mass and minimize body fat, but it's not, just because of the name growth hormone, it sounds like it's, but combined with steroids, I think it took everything to a different level. Okay. Schwarzenegger and those guys in the 70s, they were just using steroids. Mm-hmm. When the growth hormone came in, I think it allowed people to get, you know, to help them to get to a higher level. Perhaps it had an influence, but not huge, you know.
Okay, so I mean, I'm quite interested to know, like, you're in your competition phase, you're putting this stuff in your body, and I mean, personally, I don't make any judgments on that. I think you did what you had to do to peak in your sport. I'd just like to know what kind of things you experienced. Obviously, you became bigger and stronger, and you healed more quickly. But were there any negatives? Did you ever get bad mood swings, or what?
You know, I guess that every drug there's negatives, but I can only speak from personal experience. For me, I took steroids on and off, you know, on and off. From when I was competing at amateur competitions, you know, British Championship level, up into professional level from 85 to 97 when I retired. So that's 12 years of fairly consistent use. And of course, athletes don't use the recommended dose of steroids. They use way more than the recommended dose. But I can say in all that period of time, I did probably get some side effects like water retention, some acne. Yes, your aggression levels definitely are higher, but it depends what you do with that aggression. You know, I utilized it for my training in the gym. You're more positive, you're more aggressive. That's great for training. But, you know, if you're out somewhere and you have a few pints and you're in a club or something, it's probably not a good thing, you know. And I've seen people that work in that environment, work on the doors and things like that, they get themselves into trouble, you know, because of this. But it varies again from one person to another. We all know that alcohol can make people, you know, lower their inhibitions and make them more aggressive. And, you know, one guy can have a few pints and turn into a total aggressive asshole. Somebody else could be totally chilled, you know, so it depends on the individual.
Because, you know, the mainstream media would have us believe that, you know, you cycled steroids for 12 years, and I mean, you should have like a horn growing out of your forehead now, you know, but you look like a relatively healthy guy. You look better than my dad did when he was 15.
I got to say, of any pharmaceutical drugs that you could take for 12 years, way over the dosage that's recommended, that's going to be a very mild drug. I mean, this is a hormone, you know. I've got a friend who is now looking at a kidney transplant, and because he destroyed both of his kidneys. And he's a bodybuilder, and I asked him, no, it wasn't through steroids. I don't know anybody that's had, you know, you'd have to really, really super abuse it and take the piss before you'd get anything severe side effects. This guy is talking about having a kidney transplant and losing his kidneys because he took Nurofen. And Nurofen is an over-the-counter drug. You know, if you get a bottle of aspirin from the pharmacy now and drink that and take a whole bottle of aspirin, it'll burn through your stomach line and you'll die. You know, Nurofen, this destroyed the guy's kidneys. And these are things you can get over the counter. Okay. You know, so that kind of puts it in perspective a little bit, I think.
So hypothetical scenario, you mentioned you have a son. He came to you and said, Dad, like, I'm thinking of doing a cycle. I mean, you'd be cool with that?